This presentation is a sample from our Deep Tech Development course. It includes the first 10 slides from the first output lecture. You can find more information about the course, which consists of 7 lectures for a combined 6 hours, at obign.com. obign.com. Hope you enjoy. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the course, Deep Tech Development. This is the third of 7 lectures and covers the second of the 4 phases of development. That is output, which comes after input and before V&V, as well as closing. This lecture will be broken down into 2 parts because it has quite a bit of information. How many people have watched Iron Man? My favorite part of that movie, and to tell the truth, all of the MCU movies, is when Tony Stark is developing his suit of armor. Once he is back from fighting his way out of the cave, he opens a hologram and starts digitally going through all the components and throwing stuff in the trash. Removal is one part of 7 in an overall strategy for idea generation. This section will discuss that and many more tools to be used to develop your own product or suit of armor. Output will be broken down into 5 subphases. Now that input is done, with the completion of defining requirements and risks, we can move on to the first step of output. That first step is background research, which will fill in any gaps left. Once that is complete, you will have all the information you need to generate solutions. After following the strategies to generate a solution, the following 3 steps are more project management, which has 3 components. You will define the scope of the project with drawings and work instructions. Then the time and duration of the project with a schedule, and finally the cost of the project with a budget. There's a dichotomy to research. That dichotomy is internal versus external. Always start your research internal before going external. There are many reasons for this, but first and foremost, as the cliche goes, don't reinvent the wheel. Internal research is not only about asking yourself, what do you know, but also, what does your company know? We will start with corporate internal research to align ourselves with the rest of the organization on how to conduct our project. Then we will apply what we know to that framework or to modify it. As Stoics put it, you have control over yourself and not over others. Though philosophy is a long way from development, that holds true here. It is much easier to learn a system yourself than to get others to learn one for you. That doesn't just include members of your organization, but also regulatory bodies, since quality control regulations require your process to be approved. You may be asking yourself now, well, then why am I learning this process? And I will answer that next. There are a few reasons why you will need to do personal research after corporate. When I say personal research, I mean referencing all your experience, whether in industry or academia, or this. The first is every project is different. If it wasn't, it would be redundant and honestly pretty boring. The second is the way it's always been done isn't always the best. If there's a better way of doing things that is worth the resistance of getting corporate and regulatory approval, then get it done. Now that internal is complete, do you have enough to generate a solution? If not, and most of the times I have found I don't, then it's time to look elsewhere. That is where systematic literature reviews come into play. Before I tell you more about SLRs, let me ask one question. Why not just Google until you find the answer? The main reason is collaboration. When just using a search engine, there is no record of what has been searched, and no strategy for what to search next. So if someone else needs to take over for you, or see if you have searched something similar. Then they'll have no way of seeing that. Furthermore, stakeholders may want to make sure that you have searched all the terms related. This will cover that. You also are collaborating with your future self, and my future self very rarely remembers what I want it to, but that could be a me problem. So instead of getting into a loop, searching the same terms over and over again, record and iterate. So we know the why. Now let's move into the how. The process has been broken down into SLR 1, 2, and 3, which you can find on the heading of the slide. To perform a systematic literature review, start with a question. This may seem pretty obvious, and it is. The reason you are doing an SLR is because you had a question. Don't overthink it. But these questions have a specific format, which we will get into in a moment. After you have the question, identify the keywords. This should be quite simple if following the question format, and you will see why on the next slide. Then find synonyms. Here you can just Google, or related terms from the controlled vocabulary for the database you are performing the search in. You do this because I may say apartment while you say flat, and you will miss all the results that call it an apartment if you are just searching for flat. There are a few mnemonics used for framing your research question. Here I'll talk about PICO, which is often used in medicine. The P stands for patient, population, problem. I for intervention, C for comparison, and O for outcome. An example would be, do coffee stains, problem, when treated with detergent 1, intervention, or detergent 2, comparison, result in more complete removal of the stain, outcome.